So today we're going to go over how to input a list into a graphing calculator and also how to compute a linear regression, which is a line of best fit for the data that you're given. So just as an example, I'm going to do the top one at this worksheet, which gives you a list of the lengths of the femur of a person's femur bone and then how tall the person was based on that length. And I'm going to start out, I'm going to have the 84 here on the left, and if you have an 83, that's going to be on the right. Now normally I'd zoom in on this a little bit, but I want you to be able to see where my hands are. So just to start off, let's pretend our calculator was off, and you're just going to turn them on. These directions are really similar, but they're just a tiny bit different, so that's why I wanted to show both screens. If you want to input data, the first button you're going to want to hit is Stat. Okay, now normally I would tell you to do some different steps here first, but just in case, I'm going to have everybody come down to number 5 here. You can type the number 5 or you can arrow down to it and just hit enter. If you ever have an issue with your lists that you're going to see in the next screen, the setup editor resets this screen just in case we might have an issue. So I'm going to hit enter, setup editor, hit enter again, that'll just reset. Now both of these I'm just going to go ahead and hit clear. You don't need to do that every time, just thought we would do it the first time in case there's an issue. So I'm going to start, we're going to hit the stat button on both. Both screens are the same, they just appear a little bit differently. And we want to edit. So it's already highlighted here, I'm going to go ahead and push enter. Okay, now I have the data I want to use already in the 83, so I'm just going to move this to the side for the second. And the directions here would be the same. Now, if you guys are looking down the worksheet, I actually have the next example typed in here. So just to illustrate this, the directions on the 83 would be the same. I'm going to show you how to clear this if you have something in the column already. So you want to arrow up to the top. Do not use the delete key here. That will mess things up. So I'm just going to arrow up to the top so the L1, that stands for list 1, is highlighted. I'm going to hit clear, and then I'm going to hit enter, and that should wipe out any data that's in the column. And I'm going to do the same thing. L2 stands for list 2. I'm going to hit clear, and I'm going to hit enter, and that should take out anything that was in that column. Now, list 1 by default in your calculator should stand for the X values, so I'm going to go ahead and put the femur lengths in here. Now, you type this just like you would type a number, but you do have to hit enter in between each one of these. So I'm going to pause the video and enter these, and you do that on your own. Okay, once you have the data entered, I would just encourage you maybe just take a second or two before you go any farther to make sure you typed everything in and it matches the table that you're given on the worksheet. You can use these arrow keys to go up and down, back and forth between the lists. If you need to make a change, you could just type right over what you have, or you could clear that particular entry and type right over it. If you don't have any mistakes, then we're going to go ahead and find the linear regression. So from this screen, you can just go ahead and hit the stat button again, right here. And across the top now, we're going to go to this menu that says Calc, that stands for calculate. Just going to use the arrow key. This is the same direction again on both. Now, you can calculate a lot of things from this screen with your data set. We specifically want a linear regression, which means the line of best fit or a trend line. So you're going to come down to number 4. You could also type the number 4 to get to that as well. If you use the arrow keys to get down to it, you want to hit enter once that's highlighted. Okay, now if you have an 83, this is where this is a little faster for you. You just go ahead and hit enter one more time. And if you do or don't have this r squared and r, that's related to the correlation for the function, just how close it approximates the line. We're not interested in this right now. We'll do this later in the year, so just ignore this for a second. In the format here, the A stands for the slope of the line, and the B stands for the y-intercept. Now, for this particular assignment, I ask everybody to round to the nearest hundredth, so that's 2 places after the decimal, so that's what you would want to do when you actually write the equation, which I'll do in 1 second. Now, hold on if you're in 83. If you're in 84, the X list should say list 1. If it does not, just hit second and then the number 1, and that should put list 1 there. Same thing, Y should be list 2, so if it doesn't say that, hit second and then the number 2. If it doesn't deviate from that, like if you already have that, just go ahead and keep hitting enter. And then you should see the same screen the people that have the 83 do. Again, don't worry about these R's for the moment. And let me just slide this to the side so I can show you how I would round this. So for this first question here, I'd write y equals my slope. I'm going to do 1.88x. That's to the nearest hundredth. And then the y-intercept here, we're going to go 82.65. That would be to the nearest hundredth. Most of these questions will then ask you to use your model to make a prediction. So this says an anthropologist finds a femur of length 58 centimeters. How tall was the person? All we need to do there, since y represents the height of our person, is go ahead and plug in the femur length, which is x here, 58, into our equation. And then 83 or 84, just to show you, you can just hit clear here or second quit to get out of that screen. I'm going to do 1.88 times 58, then I'm going to add the 82.65. So this person would be about 191.69 centimeters tall. And that is how you input a list and find a linear regression.